Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Adjust this wire a little bit here. All right, good to have you here. We have a little adventure ahead of us today that's going to be different from the rest of this experience of arm balances. So today we're going to be focused on Mayurasana, where the hands are actually backwards. We'll be strengthening the biceps in order to stop us from falling forward. The biceps are what stop us in this case, because in Mayurasana, basically as you lean forward, your biceps push the hands down like a lever and pull you back towards your feet. So it's like the act of bending your elbows, even though your elbows are straight. So you're trying to press the palms into the ground, and the biceps pull your body so that you don't fall forward towards your face. That being said, just like arm balances, any other arm balance, you do have to lean forward. So you have to lean and then stop yourself from leaning. Now, the thing about Mayurasana and Pincha Mayurasana, they both, if done well, Mayurasana is very easy on the wrist in that you're not in deep wrist extension. You're actually, you're actually more, instead of like this deep hyperextension, you're more in a more neutral position with the wrist. But typically when people start learning this posture, they put a tremendous amount of wrist hyperextension because they're not doing the posture properly. So if you lean forward in this pose, which obviously is scary because it's moving you towards your face, then, but if you do that, if you start to work in that direction, of course, with a lovely couch cushion in front of you, you have a much better working environment. That way, if you do fall, you can just fall right onto your chest, okay? But this will be a lot easier on the wrist. And Pincha Mayurasana, forearm stand, we're gonna do it today. You can do it with the palms down. For a lot of people that feels weird in the wrist, and it does for me too, and that's because I don't have full pronation of the forearm, meaning my forearm doesn't go fully, it doesn't face down all the way, so the rest of the way then I have to cock my wrist in a weird way that causes, it's not anything that's super painful, but it's just uncomfortable and unnecessary for me to do it that way because I don't have that available pronation. So if you're not sure if you have the full pronation at your forearm, you can take a hand under your elbow like so, and you just stabilize the elbow while you turn the palm down. Now, if you move at the wrist, everyone can put their palm to face down, but if you keep your wrist here fixed and you don't do that, and you just look at the angle of your bones here, what's called the radius and the ulna, you see that those bones are not flat unless I bring my elbow out like this. Now they're flat, but that means I rotated at my upper arm bone at my glenohumeral joint to bring the elbow out. So that would result in a forearm stand with my elbows way out to the side, which is, I mean, it's a way of doing it, but it's certainly a little bit less stable in the shoulder joint. So I'm going to suggest we do it with the palms connected or apart, but like karate chopped arms. You don't really need your palms on the ground to balance a forearm stand by any means. You have this big lever, and your triceps will stop you from falling in a forearm stand. So we have biceps today in Mayurasana, triceps in Pincha Mayurasana. All right, let me just check in here with everybody in the chat. Welcome in. Where did my chat go? Here it is. Where is the chat though? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. What's up, Mikkel? Good to have you here. Kristen, nice to have you here. Uta, Lisa, good to have you both here. Nina, hello. Thank you for signing up, Nina. Debbie, nice to have you here. Sunny in London, nice. It's beautiful here in Connecticut too, sunny and hot. Patricia, good morning to you. Sabui, hello. Looking forward to class today. Need to get out of the parasympathetic nervous system. Got it. Agnes, welcome in. Vaishali, welcome in, and Jackie. For next immersion, by the way, we have the alignment immersion, which I mentioned in the chat, but those of you that are not practicing live stream, the next immersion is called alignment. A number of you signed up, which is exciting. I can't wait to share this immersion. We're gonna really just dial in alignment of different postures, use props like chairs and blocks and straps and things to work on various alignments that I think could help free us up in our practice. But what I wanted to mention is the weekend classes, the ones that are on Saturdays and or Sundays, are going to take place. I believe I said 10:30 a.m. for those, or 10 a.m., one of the two. Either way, they're going to be earlier. Just a warning to those of you that, since you're here live, I assume you're a live practitioner most of the time, and I know all your names are, all of you are coming up regularly. So for those of you that are here, that are also going to be in that immersion, just check out the weekend times, so we just get that clear. What's up, Pat? Welcome in. Grace, welcome in. All right, let's roll. Come to down dog to start. Oh, let me see my monitors. You can pedal out the legs, bend the knees, side to side. Let's move a few times in and out of plank pose. So on the inhale, lift the heels up, roll forward. Exhale, down dog. Stretch long. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank. Down dog. Right leg to the sky. Step forward. Full breath in. Get strength in the legs. Pull your feet toward each other. And a long breath out. Push down into your right heel. Rise up, high lunge. As you exhale, bend the elbows. Pull the shoulder blades together. Warm up the shoulders a little bit. Inhale, protract the scapula. Round the back a little bit. Exhale, retract. Arch the back a little. Inhale, protract. Exhale, retract. Let's do one more. Rise up. Stretch the arms long. Exhale, hands to the ground. Straighten through the front leg. Maybe dorsiflex the foot. Inhale. Exhale, bow. Let's hold here for a full breath in. Bend the knee. Inhale. Down dog. Exhale. Lift the heels up, inhale, roll forward. Chaturanga. Slide hands, feet wide, three-part cobra. Melt. Pull the chest forward. Release. Plank pose, inhale. Exhale, down dog. Full breath in. And out. Left leg to the sky. Step. High up on the fingertips, take a breath. And pull the legs towards each other. Press down, rise up. Bend the elbows, exhale. Inhale here, retract the scapula a little bit. Shoulder blades together, that is. Exhale, protract, shoulder blades apart. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to the ground. Straighten through the front leg. And bow. Full breath in. And exhale it out. Bend the front knee. Step down, dog. Roll forward to plank pose. Chaturanga. 3-part cobra, inhale. Melt. Pull the chest forward. Release. All fours, inhale. Just want to make sure we're all clear. I know some of you are new to practicing with me, so I want to make sure that we have this down. Protraction of the scapula is when the shoulder blades are apart. So try that. Push your shoulder blades away from each other. And you do that by pushing the ground away like you're doing the top of a push-up, right? And this gets your rib cage away from the ground further. Now, retraction is when your shoulder blades come together on the spine. So protraction, push, retraction, melt. Push, protract, soften, retract. And you can feel the difference, right? Your shoulder blades are actually fixed right now. Your shoulder blades aren't moving. It's your rib cage that's moving in this case because your hands are fixed on the ground. But what we were doing in lunge, your rib cage was more or less fixed and your shoulder blades were moving around the rib cage. Either way, the relationship here is retraction of the scapula and protraction of the scapula. Now try that on your forearms for a moment. You can do forearm plank. So bring your knees back. We'll do it on knees, so a simple version of it. Separate your shoulder blades all the way and then retract by softening your chest down and then push to protract. Retract, protract. One more. Now, because we're fighting against gravity, in this case, protraction is the harder of the two. Okay, gravity's helping you with the retraction, so it's more or less relaxing the muscles that protract the scapula, which are serratus anterior, pectoralis minor. Now let's warm up our upward facing dog. And in upward dog, you use retraction to bring the chest through, and you try to use that retraction to manipulate the spine into a back bend. And it's like a pulling of your chest through. Normally, when you pull your arms, your shoulder blades would come together, but because your hands are fixed, the idea of retraction is to try to pull your chest through and create a spinal extension. So we'll do it on blocks again to warm up like we did last class. Hands wide, turned out, fingers grip the blocks. You start plank on knees and go further forward today than you're used to. So you see my shoulders are in front of the wrist, so that when I melt the shoulder blades towards each other and bring them back into retraction, now the shoulders are, you see, instead of in front of the wrist, they are now behind the wrist. And then I try to actively retract my scapula to pull, you see that? Pull the chest forward. Okay, not this, but pull. And I pull the chest forward by retracting the scapula. Now activate the quads. Activate your latissimus dorsi to pull your shoulder blades down your back. It's also your lower fibers of your trapezius pulling the shoulder blades down your back. Depression of the scapula. Now lift your heart up, upward facing Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And release. And put the blocks aside. Now we have dialed in our upward facing Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Let's come to downward facing dog. I realize my chat is not up. Okay, here we go. 3 breaths in your in your down dog. Can lift the heels up and walk to the front of the yoga mat. When you get to the top of the mat, lengthen the chest, half lift. And exhale to bow over yourself. Might be nice to do a little shoulder stretch after so much of our last month has been strengthening these part of the shoulders, the anterior section, the front deltoids and the pecs and the serratus anterior. Okay, hands to the hips, arch the back, rise up. Tadasana, full breath in and out. Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, reach up to the earth bow. Halfway lift, I suggest the knee bending. Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's do 3 breaths together. Lift the heels up on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step lightly. When you get there, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Rise to the sun, inhale. To the heart. Inhale, reach up. To the earth. Halfway lift, inhale. I suggest bending the knees. Chaturanga as you exhale. Cobra or upward dog. Exhale. Downward dog. Full breath in. And out. One more. Lift the heels up, inhale, look forward. Empty it out, hop or step. Half lift when you get there. Exhale to bow. To the sunrise. To the heart. Inhale, reach all the way up. To the earth bow. Halfway lift, inhale. Again, I suggest bending the knees, chaturanga. 3-part or upward dog, your choice. Exhale, down dog. Let's take the right leg to the sky. Step forward. Rise up, high lunge. Pull the shoulder blades together, elbows down. Now, protract, bring your shoulder blades apart, and then you're gonna just do this with your hands. You're gonna extend them like this and mimic. So elbows together, shoulder blades apart, and mimic what would be called
Mayurasana. So elbows are going to come in, shoulder blades are apart, and flex your spine. So you see I'm flexed in my spine, protracted, shoulder blades are apart, and I'm trying to mimic the shape of Mayurasana, at least in the upper body. Try to keep your elbows together, shoulder blades apart. Okay, inhale, reach up. Open up, warrior two. Inhale. Actually, what we're gonna do is take our arms up. Now we're gonna take palms together. Bring the elbows in a little bit with palms together. Head neutral, so you see I'm looking at you right now with my head and chest facing the same direction. We're gonna do what's called elevation of the scapula. So inhale, shrug your shoulders up to the ears. Try to get your elbows above your head. Exhale, relax down a little bit. Inhale, push up. Imagine your whole body weight is upon your forearms. Exhale, soften. Okay, inhale, push up. Hold. Elevation, or even a combination of what's called upward rotation, elevation, in order to sustain forearm stand. All right, arms out to the sides. Good shoulder warm up. Now pull your shoulders down, hands down below shoulder height. Stretch the neck muscles. So you see how my hands are below shoulders. Lift your head a little bit away from the front hand, stretching the front trapezius. And then away from the left arm, left shoulder down. Okay, shoulders up a little bit, hands above shoulder height, reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga. Upward dog or cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. One breath in. And out. Left leg to the sky. Step. Rise, high lunge. Bend the elbows. Protract, inhale. You see how I flex my spine. I round the upper back, bring the elbows together, and they come towards your sternum or your solar plexus. Extend through the wrist. Just get used to this shape for Mayurasana, which is difficult. A lot of people struggle with this shape because the chest is quite narrowed, which means your shoulder blades have to protract. They're also doing a little bit what's called anterior tilt of the scapula. You see my shoulders are in front of my chest. They're rolled over. That's use of your pectoralis minor especially. Okay, inhale, reach up, free up the chest. Woo. Exhale, open it up. Again, face your eyes, nose, same direction as your sternum. Let's take the shoulders up to the ears like you're gonna do a handstand, and then bend the elbows. Let's work on those shoulder shrugs. Imagine the weight of your body is on your shoulders and you're gonna try to push it away. So push up, exhale, melt. Gravity pulls you down, right? Inhale, push up. Exhale. One more. Let's hold, sustain it. Okay, then release the arms out to the sides, and let's take the hands below shoulder height and pull the scapula down actively, depressing the shoulder blades. And then move your head a little bit away from the left hand by leaning it towards the back hand. And then away from the right hand, shoulders down, hands down. Back to center, let the shoulders rise up a little bit, hands lift up. Okay, reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank, inhale. Chaturanga. Again, up dog or cobra, your choice. Exhale, down dog. Full breath in. And out. Inhale. Exhale. One more. And lift the heels up on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath out, hop or step lightly. When you get there, halfway lift. And bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. We're gonna hold here. Sit the hips back, lift the heart up. 4 more breaths. Soften the eyes. Hips back, heart up. One more inhale. Exhale, bow forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Step or hop, chaturanga. Cobra or upward dog. Exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky. Step. Rise. Warrior 2. Reverse. Hands to the ground, chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Down dog. Left leg. Step. Rise, inhale. Exhale. Reverse. Exhale, chaturanga. One long exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Lift the heels up, inhale, gaze forward. Empty the breath, hop or step. Half lift when you get there. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees, chair pose. Exhale, stand up, hands to heart. Chair pose, inhale. To the earth. Half lift, inhale. Chaturanga, exhale. Cobra or up dog, inhale. Down dog. Right leg to the sky. Exhale. Rise, inhale. Warrior 2. Reverse. Side angle pose. Preparation, forearm to thigh, hand to the hip. Sway the pelvis back. Roll your left shoulder back. Externally rotate the arm and reach the arm over your ear. If that feels weird, you can try going this way. It's another way of doing it. Shoulders towards the ear. And you can actually kind of see how my shoulder is touching the ear. I'm not bringing my head up to the shoulder necessarily, but I'm bringing the shoulder to the ear. Head is in line with sternum. Right hand down outside the foot. Rotate the heart. Three more. Both hands to the ground. Straighten through the front leg as you pivot the pelvis closed. Lengthen. Exhale and bow. Full breath in. And out. 2 more. Okay, bend the front knee. Standing splits preparation. Left leg up. Exhale, bend the elbows and bow. Lengthen, half lift. Again, exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Pour the weight in your hands, exhale. Inhale, lengthen, bend your right knee. 3-legged chaturanga, left leg up. Cobra or upward dog. Down dog. Full breath in. And up. Left leg to the sky. Step. Rise up. Warrior 2. Reverse. Side angle. Right hip back, left hand outside the foot. Roll the chest open. Again, you have 2 options. You can start with rotating the arm externally and then over your ear. Some of you that's gonna feel good, otherwise in front. And each shoulder might be different. So pay attention to what feels best for each shoulder instead of assuming. Rotate. Square the pelvis. Inhale, straighten through the front leg. Exhale and bow. Just make sure you all are good. Yes. Okay, bend the left knee. Right foot forward, standing splits preparation. Again, put all the weight in your hands. Straighten the back leg to the sky. Inhale, half lift. Again, bow forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, Ekapadasana. Inhale, half lift, bend the left knee. Right leg stays nice and lifted, chaturanga. Cobra or upward dog. Exhale. Down dog. Full breath in. And out. I should just give you a little option here from your up dog if you want. You can go back to chaturanga before going to down dog. And you can do that and add a breath, or you can just do it as you exhale. So it would be like this. So here's my up dog. Instead of like shifting to down dog, I go chaturanga, plank to down dog. Okay, I do that all on one exhale, but you could go like, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. That might be more intense that way, because you're holding and sustaining slower movements. If you want to get stronger, definitely do it that way with adding more breaths. Maybe we'll do that on the next round. Okay, lift the heels up on the inhale. Empty the breath out, hop or step. When you get there, halfway lift. Exhale to bow. Inhale, rise, chair pose. Exhale, stand. Urdhva Hastasana, Utkatasana, sorry. Chair. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend the knees, Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Right, let's go exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Ooh, that is tough. Right leg to the sky. Exhale, step. Rise, inhale. Warrior two. Reverse. All the way through to side angle. Straighten through the right leg. Trikonasana. You can windmill the arm if you want. Left hand to hip, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Both hands to the ground. Okay, so we're gonna do a kick switch. So you'll have your left leg to start. Lift the right heel up. Just like we did handstand the other day. You just jump up and switch which leg is up. All right, you do it again. Again. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. Bend the right knee, Chaturanga. Cobra or up dog. Exhale, Chaturanga. Plank. Down dog. Let's do a breath in and out. Left leg to the sky. Exhale, step. Rise, high lunge. Open up. Inhale, reverse. Side angle all the way through, extended. Trikonasana. Sustain. One more breath. Right hand to the hip, look down. Let's transition to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. One more inhale. Both hands to the ground. Again, our handstand kick switches, we'll do 4. So lean, grip, push, shoulders to the ears, hop, switch sides. Shoulders to the ears, lean, grip, push. 2 more. 1 more. Prepare for Chaturanga. Inhale, bend the knee, look forward. Chaturanga, exhale. Up dog or cobra. Chaturanga. Plank. Down dog. Full breath in. And out. Inhale. Okay, lift the heels up, inhale, look forward. Empty it out, hop or step. half lift when you get there. Exhale to bow. Bend knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, stand, hands to heart. All right, so let's come on to forearm plank, and we'll start just working on a couple of things first. If it's possible, there's two variations we can do here. One with the elbows apart, which would kind of give us a little bit of a feeling of forearm stand, except the major difference is the arms would be more overhead. So elbows apart, and then elbows together is gonna be the hard one for all of us to try to protract the scapula. So let's do scapula push-ups, just 3 with elbows apart. So you come down, you can have your hands interlaced or just palms together, step back, either plank on knees like so, try to get your body in one line, essentially from your skull to your knees, or you can extend the knee joints, just don't stick your bum up to the sky like this. So a lot of times it helps to keep your feet pointed to help you get out of that intention or that unintentional action. Soften, push, soften, push, protract, soften, push, and release. Now we'll try to do it with the elbows together, and if possible, palms face up towards our face, so we're getting closer to this position of what we call Mayurasana. All right, so elbows together, palms face up. If that doesn't work out, you could put a block between your forearms to help. Separate your shoulder blades. Again, forearms could be on knees, forearm plank on knees, or lift off, retract, protract, retract, protract, retract, protract, release. All right. Now, for particularly for forearm stands, let's do dolphin push-ups. So we'll come onto our forearms in a down dog. There are 3 levels to this. Well, there's infinite levels to this, but I'm going to show you 3 levels. Level 1 would be like a down dog. Here, 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 here. Level 2. You're gonna be more like actual forearm stand. Level 3, one leg will be up, putting more weight on the forearms. You'll have to, of course, switch. So the action is moving the head toward the ground and away from the ground. To get the head away from the ground, you are simply pushing. You're using your trapezius muscles and these muscles called serratus anterior along the sides of the ribs to push shoulders towards the ears. You're also using a muscle called levator scapula, likely. A bunch of other muscles are participating, but not directly creating the movement of the scapula. Okay, so choose which serves you best and challenges you appropriately. Okay. I'd aim for a minimum of 3 reps. Some of you can go, as much as 10, as long as you're doing it with good form. All right. Take a block, place it between your elbows or forearms like so, and squeeze it with your elbows around the back, just like so. Squeeze the block with your elbows, and then see if you can, with your elbows pinned in the block, try to move your hands apart. So pinning the block with the elbows, move your hands apart. This will just strengthen your rotator cuff muscles. If you try to move your hands apart, you're gonna get your external rotators active. These are the muscles that help get the elbows in. Keeping the elbows in gives you a shelf to rest upon in your Mayurasana, which most of us definitely need. Okay, and then release. Okay, so the deal with Mayurasana, you have to learn how to shift your body weight forward a lot. But to do that, a lot of times it becomes really challenging with the legs. So what we can do is take a Baddha Konasana variation of this pose. To warm up for that, let's just take regular Baddha Konasana. And in Baddha Konasana, you'll have to in the variation that we're gonna take, you're gonna have to activate your outer hip muscles. So you're gonna probably try to press your knees to the ground here. And when you're upside down, that's gonna translate to lifting the knees up off of the ground. But here, pressing the knees towards the ground, you're gonna feel your buttock muscles. Okay, bow forward. Okay, we don't want to stimulate the parasympathetic too soon, so let's come on up. All right, and we're gonna do our best. Let me show you first. Crash pad in front is a great idea, and you can even put blocks under your chest for this to help you out with some of the weight. Let's see if I can recall how to do that. It's gonna take a little finagling, I'm sure. Hands go back. Yeah, that's gonna be here. Further than you think. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Blocks on chest is not gonna be comfortable for everybody, obviously. But, oh, and not good for the mic, sorry. Move the mic aside. So this will give you a simulation though. And then you can work here without ever lifting off. But, and then maybe extend the legs as well, another option, and try to squeeze the elbows in. Okay, this is a way of learning it where you're not having to balance the pose. The one caveat or downside is that it's a lot of weight in the chest. And for me, I don't have breasts, so it's not a big deal. But if you do, that may not be the best alternative and might be uncomfortable. If you can find a way to adjust yourself, then do so. But let's now have this here. And what you'll do is you'll try to take your elbows as close to your pubic bone as possible. You see how I'm like slouched over right now? That slouching position is what's necessary. The shoulders have to fully protract. They have to come around, including a little upward, what's called anterior tilt of the scapula. So you're gonna employ what's called pectoralis minor, which brings the shoulder forward in two different ways. And then you can place your hands back behind you. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can move your knees way out to the sides, like so. And tip forward. Also, sometimes putting socks on for this pose and slippery stuff and taking your body weight off of the yoga mat is gonna be a lot more accessible. So I'm gonna show that so you see how you can take this, either a Baddha Konasana version or the full version, by sliding your feet on the ground. I'll admit that this pose feels incredibly awkward to set it up, and it never quite feels like, oh, now I feel like I have it, until you're in it. So if it feels like I don't get it, and you're learning it, unfortunately, there's a bit of like a kamikaze moment. That's why you need to have your couch cushions set up. If you can, put your couch cushions so much that you can actually rest on them, that's great, right? But there's a bit of this like free falling moment that's hard to get around. So one way to get around it a little bit is to be on a slidey surface like I have here. So you prep your hands, your fingertips face backwards for this pose. Elbows in, protract your scapula, and watch. You can try to put your head on the bolster or couch cushions and slide back. You see how I did that? So I put my hands back behind me, put my head on the couch cushion or whatever you got, bolster. Elbows in, shoulder blades apart, and then slide back here. Then you try to lift your chest up, lean forward. Tuck your chin so your forehead comes onto the bolster. You know, when you're in the full expression, you lift your heart and you lift your head, but when you're starting to come down, tuck your chin, put the forehead onto the bolster. There's no real safe way of doing this posture without a bolster until you like really know how to do it. So I suggest that. Now, what I just showed you was the full extended leg variation. I'm gonna do the same thing, but show you with the Baddha Konasana variation, which for some of you is gonna be a lot easier because you don't have to lean as far forward. But it takes a little bit more back strength because if you're not leaning further forward, that means more weight is further back even, and that's why we're bending the knees, but even still, it can be a lot harder on both the wrist and, just generally speaking, harder to lift up. Something of that nature, and it's tough on the outer hips because you're just trying to lift your knees and butt and feet off the ground. It's quite challenging, but that's how I learned it. It was my first moments of success. That's not true, actually. That's how I learned one-armed variation of it with the Baddha Konasana legs. Nonetheless, I'm going to show one more time with how to go to an extended leg position with your forehead on the bolster. And I assume we're playing around at this point, so if you have questions, you throw them in the chat. But please notice this time when I get into the full expression that my forearms are not vertical, they're going to be past vertical. Nope, that was a terrible entry. Didn't tuck my chin, and my face went into the bolster. Tuck the chin on the way down. I'm gonna do it without the bolster for a moment. The bolster is the best thing you can possibly use for your face, of course. But you're also gonna feel like you're not very far away from the ground because the bolster is obviously much higher. So I'm just gonna show it once, the full expression. Mayurasana, the beast. It's been about a year since I've tried that, actually, since I think the Anatomy of Arm Balances immersion. Okay, so when done well, it should feel kind of nice on the wrist. But the challenge is when you're learning it and trying to get into the pose, it's just fully bent backwards. So it's a catch-22 there. Great once you know it, hard on the wrist when you don't know it. But what can be very easy on the wrist regardless is this version of forearm stand that we're gonna work with now. And my suggestion is for forearm stand, you could put your feet on blocks or a chair. Blocks tends to be enough since unlike handstand, handstand, you're further away from the ground. Forearm stand, you're pretty close to the ground. So watch how I use blocks. I'm just gonna articulate my ankle joint to bring my body weight over. Do use a mat under your forearms. I don't have much sensitivity there, so it doesn't bother me, but or at least at this age, I don't have much sensitivity there. Seems certain things get more sensitive as I get older. That seems to be okay still. Okay, so 1 foot on the blocks. I come on up, and you could place your head on the ground, or you can start in a forearm stand right away, which is what I do. Head off the ground, take the left leg up, and then watch me articulate my right ankle. Push, and that gives me the lift off. So I'm pushing in a way that my head is off the ground, and I'm looking through at the blocks right now. I'm not sure if you can see that. So, in my final expression, my head is free, and my head, I keep it neutral. So instead of looking at the ground, which does make it look like you're further away from the ground when you look at the ground, it feels comfortable for most people. For me, that shoulder alignment of looking at the ground arches my back too much and makes me fall into a back bend. So if I keep my head neutral, which is the case for most people, then you'll be in at least a straighter line. It's harder to get a straight line in forearm stand unless you have a lot of mobility in the shoulders, a tremendous amount. More often than not with forearm stand, you're gonna have some level of back bend going on, even if you can have a pin straight handstand. So my handstand can be super straight without any back arch, and I can go the opposite way, but it's because of the way that the arms are, the way the arms align with the shoulders in handstand, it's a little bit different. I forgot to check the chat for Mayurasana, my apologies. Yeah, you can do the half version, but when you extend your legs, you collapse. It's not just more strength, Jackie, it's just that you have to lean forward more. So that to get your legs to extend back means more weight's going back, so that means more weight has to go forward. And that's very hard concept in Mayurasana because it means you have to actually straighten your arms more while the bicep is hanging on for dear life to keep you there. Okay. Forearm stand again. I'm gonna go to the other leg now. It's gonna be my lift-off leg. I hope you noticed that I pointed, I articulated through the ankle, which shifts the hips over the arms. Now you could do this, of course, with your head on the ground. That's just called headstand, of course. It's an option. But if you can, try to keep your head off the ground, and you got a forearm stand. And I'm not trying to tell you that you need to have your palms together. You could have the palms on the ground. By the way, just for me, it's very uncomfortable on the wrist joint, and I know for other people that have the same lack of mobility in the radial ulnar joint, we have the same situation. Okay, so shoulders to the ears, and I look through. So I go head through, look at my belly, shoulders go to the ears, and take the left foot onto the blocks like a down dog. Right leg comes up. Standing splits, essentially. And you should probably keep the L-shaped position for most of us, which is one leg down. One leg down is how I learned to balance. So I'm going to show that to you. And by the way, if you need another block, you can go, or the chair is also an option. You want to get to a point where you don't have to jump so much, because in forearm stand you don't have, you can jump. It's just that the momentum will tend to throw you overboard, and that's going to be detrimental on the shoulders if you were ever in the middle of the room. In a forearm stand, there's no easy way to fall out of it that's okay on the shoulders. Or every other joint. And so you really have to make sure you're not falling out. So it's usually best to do a controlled entry, which is why you see I'm using that standing splits, the top legs up and back, right? And I'm articulating through the bottom ankle. So you can raise this up as high as you need to make that lift off easier. So what's the limiting factor here? Of course, your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are tight, then that L shape is gonna be more towards the ground like this instead of up like this. So the flexibility of your hamstrings is important in this. you know, those standing splits are very important. So watch again. And this time I'm going to just stay in the L-shaped position. Shoulders to the ears. Look towards my navel. Leg up. Articulate. Hold. If the blocks are not on a yoga mat, they could just slide out from underneath you. So keep them on a sticky surface. You know, I know how to control them from moving, but I just want to make sure you're all not copying this setup just for speed purposes. Okay, any questions on Pincha Mayurasana? Okay, so looking at the block to lift off is so much harder than looking forward. So Grace, look at the ground. That's not a problem at all. I don't look forward because it screws with the alignment of my spine and it takes my chest through like I'm going to do a back bend. And so unless I'm doing, taking my scorpion pose, which I would look at the ground because it's deliberately a back bend, then for me, I always look through because the alignment helps me balance the pose and feel better in my shoulder joint. But I know a lot of people practice looking at the ground, and so getting out of that would take a repatterning of the nervous system. So you'd have to do it a lot until the nervous system feels safe there and comfortable. And so it does mess when you change your vision where you're looking, when you change your neck shape too, that can certainly mess with your proprioception, knowing where your body is in space, and suddenly it's hard to activate the same muscles. So you can look at the ground, you know, and you can also work on not looking at the ground if you like. So those are, you know, options. Please let me know if you need me to demonstrate anything or I'm not being clear on anything on the forearm stand so that I can provide that for you. I'll take another moment here. I'm sure you're all playing around, but if there are questions, now's the time. You know, there's a little delay in the feed, so I don't want you to wait till last minute to ask the question when we're in Shavasana. I'm just going to give you one other alternative to this. I like this entry because you have the wall behind you for safety. But another way you can work on this is like start climbing your way up the wall. So you start more like a dolphin pose, and you would walk your feet one at a time up the wall like so, right? And you can go higher and higher. Now, you're never really going to get too vertical on this, but you could take one leg up. But now you have the risk of being in the middle of the room, right? So the room, and why I would suggest instead to use a chair, because then you can face the wall. But this is certainly an option, okay, if you feel okay, or even if you have like somebody that can spot you for that. And you see I was more on an angle with my body. I wasn't vertical with my torso. That also helps to make sure I'm not going to fall overboard, keeping some more weight in the wall. All right. Looks like we're questionless, which is fine. Good for us. Hope you're enjoying. So let's do a little pec stretch. Now, you know, we've done all this like compactness. We'll take the hand at the wall and roll the shoulder blade back. Oop, there's a fox out in the field. Is it a fox or a coyote? I think it's a fox. Open the chest. Better not get my my chickens. Switch sides. And then for the the trapezius, same thing like we did earlier. You take your arm like you're pressing down into a shelf and pull your whole, not just your collarbone down, move your shoulder back and then pull your shoulder blade down. Reach down with the hand and the shoulder and then move the head away. Switch sides. And let's take Shavasana. Okay. Come to lie on your back. Surprisingly, I'm looking forward, not used to entry, requires more upper body strength. Core two. Okay. Exhale the breath out. And let the body rest. awareness now back to your breath. Stretch your arms. Roll to your side and come up to a seated position. Place the hands at heart center. With gratitude for this practice, this body, and this community that we get to practice in. Thank you all so very much. Namaste. All right, everybody. Great time sharing that with you. Let's see what we got. Thank everybody that was here in the chat. Kristen says, when the vinyasa moves quickly, I can't keep up. I just did a few more kick switches and things in between, just saying, so I don't feel like I'm cheating. No, definitely not cheating. The whole idea, you start moving mindfully in your asana and deliberately, and then as you get better and better at moving deliberately, you can do it faster. Like anything, you can do things faster when you're really good at them, or you can do them faster and sloppy, which I think is stupid. But if you get better and better at moving in between these postures, you can certainly keep up as your skill level rises. But it takes more and more practice, and these are challenging movements. So these things are like Surya Namaskar A and B. Personally practiced these for years and years and years to refine them and try to get better at them, and try to move more skillfully, and then slowly boosting the tempo. But it's also its heart rate. It's like cardiovascular activity as well. So that's another thing that plays a role. But you do what you need to do. You modify. As long as you're staying in it and you're finding a way in. That's the best thing. So always find a way in. Thank you, great class. Definitely keep revisiting. Awesome, Debbie, Mikhail, thank you. Patricia, thank you so much. Uta, thank you. Grace, thank you so much. Jackie, thank you. Pat, Vaishali, Subui, Agnes, thank you. Lisa, thank you. Mikhail. Thank you, man. It feels like I'm slowly getting the hang of my asana. I wouldn't dare doing it without a bolster, though. I wouldn't suggest doing it without a bolster either. So, good. Glad to hear that. Not one that you need to explore. Balance was challenging today. I really enjoyed the class. Awesome. Thanks, Sabui. Glad you enjoyed it as well. All right. Okay, everybody have a beautiful day. Nice to practice with you, and we'll be seeing you on the next one. We got 2 more left in this one. I think I saw most of you were signed up for the alignment immersion, but if you didn't, it's there for you. And look forward to sharing that one. And we start on the 2nd. It's a Friday. Okay, bye. Thanks so much. Used to be able to do my asana. I've regressed in that pose. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough pose, and I've also regressed in that pose quite a bit. I'm sure if we look back at the arm balance immersion or the anatomy arm balances, that my demonstration of it is probably much more
what's the word, exaggerated than it was today. But that's it's a pose you got to keep up for sure. All right, take care.